welcome to our PayBack 2023 results and review. Obviously, you got finished up, got done watching it and stuff like that. What was your overall thoughts on the pay-per-view and how it delivered tonight?
Yeah, it was better than I expected. I feel like maybe the first match should have been the main event. That's what it felt like to me, at least. Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, being straight into things, that first match was Becky Lynch take on Trish Stratus in the steel cage match. Now, Becky Lynch does end up pulling up the win here in a very great match, I believe, and honestly, probably the second best match of the night, in my opinion. But yeah, I'm glad they gave both women time in this match. I think that's what they really deserved. Because this, like I said in our predictions video, where this feud should have ended at SummerSlam. However, they kind of pushed back a little bit, and now they finally finished it here, it seems. But yeah, great match overall. Obviously, at the end of the match, you had Zoe Stark kind of try to comfort Trish Stratus and kind of be like, hey, it's all good, you know, we lost, but it's whatever. Trish didn't like that. She slapped Zoe Stark, and then Zoe Stark ended up turning on her, which is kind of interesting because I'm interested to see if that plays into like a storyline where you have Zoe versus Trish, which I think would help Zoe out a lot, considering she's still pretty brand new to the main roster. So yeah, I think that could be your next big thing. And throughout the night, they had an interview backstage where Becky Lynch did tease potentially having a match with Tiffany Stratton for her NXT Women's Championship. So I think that's kind of where both people are going to. But yeah, very good match.
Yeah, this was my favorite match of the whole night myself. I liked also the part where Becky had Trish on her shoulders and she was kind of using her as like a ram into the cage on like every side of it. And then at another point, Trish had her, it was like a camel clutch or something, I forget what it was, and then she said smile for the camera, and she's like pulling back on her face as she's like facing the camera. Yeah, this was my match of the night. I really like this one.
Yeah, there's also another part of the match where Trish is at the top of the cage, and she gets her like feet stuck in the top part, and she kind of like drops down. And when I seen her body drop, I got insanely scared. I was like, "Oh God, I hope nothing goes wrong there," because at first her body just completely flings off. I'm like, Jesus Christ! I hope she's okay. And they turned that into like a superplex, which is awesome. But yeah, great match nonetheless. And I agree, it's one of the best matches of the night easily. And then next up, we had LA Knight take on The Miz, and before that, we had a little segment where John Cena was announced as a special guest referee. He came out, kind of talked about it, and Miz interrupted him. They had a little back and forth, which is pretty funny. And then after that, LA Knight comes out. They also have a pretty good match, which I expected to have like a mid-level decent match, but in my opinion, this was honestly a very good match. I think both men did what the match needed to do, was put LA Knight over more. But Miz still came out looking strong, and I think with how much this year he hasn't had very much success at all. He's pretty much lost almost all his matches. I think eventually, like in this next year, he'll probably have like a mid-card title reign, or might get put somewhere as like a tender against somebody for like a main champion. But yeah, both men put on a very good match.
Yeah, I think LA Knight will find his way into Rey Mysterio somehow. I think they'll kind of go against each other, and that'll be like the title direction they put him in. But yeah, it was a pretty good match. It was more of like a show match. It wasn't one of like big spots or anything like that, but they just put on like a good show for everybody until like a story in their match. But yeah, it was really good though.
Yeah, and it was also cool after the fact, because at the end there was a part where LA Knight kind of got in John Cena's face, but then Miz got in his face, and then LA Knight gets the win. And then after, when John Cena and LA Knight are on the stage, they kind of like, John Cena raises his hand and is like, hey, you know, got nothing but respect for him. He's kind of hesitant for a second, and then he ends up shaking his hand, and John Cena raises his hand and said, this is your moment, man, and kind of like tells him to enjoy it, because this is probably his second or first huge moment, and having somebody like John Cena on the side of you, who is arguably the most famous guy in wrestling right now, or of all time probably, it's very cool for him to, I think, get like that John Cena rub. But nonetheless, very good match, and glad both men performed very well. But then transition to that, as you mentioned, we have Rey Mysterio versus Austin Theory for the United States Championship, which is it was a decent match. Nothing crazy happened. It felt like a match that it was more of a filler match for the card, but both men did pretty well. Rey Mysterio does pick up the win here. But yeah, I'm interested to see where Austin Theory goes from this. I think it's been rumored that he's going to be turning face soon, which I think is very much needed. I think he does need a change up. He feels very bland and kind of just stuck in somewhere where he shouldn't be. 'Cause I feel like he's way more talented to be in this mid card where he's not even like popular and no one wants to see him right now. It feels like, and I feel like that's something that obviously you don't want to happen for Hills. But I think a good change of character or like a either a morale change of being from heel to face, I think would be good for him. But yeah, another good match on the card.
Yeah, not too much to really say about this one. I think my favorite spot was Ray throws him out of the ring and he's kind of on like the apron a little bit on the outside, and then it looks like he's gonna go over the ropes and do like a dive, or in between the ropes and do a dive, but he actually goes under the ropes and does like a tornado DDT.
Yeah, that was very cool. Because he usually does that when they're like supplying on like the ropes, and then he just slides down. But he did a full tornado DDT, which is, like I think you said, very cool. But yeah, great to see Ray still be able to go at this age. Obviously, he's getting up there, but yeah, I'm interested where Ray goes from this. Obviously, I think the most likely will be Santos Escobar, but we'll have to see in the upcoming weeks. But then after that, we had the Judgment Day take on Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens for the Undisputed Tag Team Championships in a Steel City Street Fight. This match was my match of the night. Absolutely great match. It was a good hardcore street fight match where they actually did some street fight type things where they used weapons. They went throughout the arena, which is very cool. Some great spots as well. But yeah, I love this match.
Yeah, this was my second favorite match of the night. Like I said, I like the steel cage better myself. But yeah, this one was really good. And Kevin Owens did his like tribute to Terry Funk as well. In the middle of it, they do the little spot with the trash can over Finn Balor, and they both hit it with the kendo sticks. Yeah, it was a really good match for sure. I really enjoyed it. I felt like this match was going to be like 50-50 on it. It was going to be really good, or it could have potentially been really bad if they didn't like utilize the like street fight part of the stipulation, you know. But they did it really well though.
Yeah, like at one point they had Kevin Owens. They had right on the like near the outs. They're in the outside, like, toward like the fan area, and they kind of were beating on each other. And then Damian Priest and Finn Balor like throw him over like the railing, kinda, in like a little moment where they kind of like regain breath. And then Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn both come up in like the Pittsburgh Penguins hockey jerseys, which was pretty cool. And they had like hockey sticks and were really heating on each other. So yeah, that was a cool spot as well.
Then another big spot was when he does like the Devon Dudley spot that they did way back, where he kind of does the Swanton Bomb off like the crowd entrance part. Devon Dudley did something. It wasn't a Swanton Bomb he did. It was like a leg drop or something, but it was basically the same thing. And yeah, it was really cool though.
Yeah, this match was, like I said, my favorite match, but obviously the main talking point is the fact that Damian Priest and Finn Balor did pull up the win here, which I'm very surprised at. I know you actually did predict this one, but this did catch me off by surprise, mainly just because I didn't see Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens losing, because I felt like they kind of just got teased for something between maybe them and the Street Profits on this past SmackDown, so I kind of thought something there would happen. But no, Finn Balor and Damian Priest do pull up the win. You also had some interference from JD McDonough, so maybe he finally gets put into the Judgment Day, but as of now, it looks like only Finn is very, like, he wants him in there, and he sounds like Black Shark after Damian, Dominic, and Rhea. But yeah, and also with this, Finn Balor finally becomes a Grand Slam champion, which I think is awesome, because he's somebody who, since coming to WWE, has been phenomenal, and is finally having more success, because obviously this entire year he's been chasing after the World Heavyweight Champion, but wasn't successful, and now is finally successful in winning the Tag Team Champions. Yeah, moving on, we had the Women's World Championship match where we had Rhea Ripley taking on Raquel Rodriguez. And it was a solid match. This wasn't my favorite match at all, but it was still very solid. I think it did what it needs to do, where we've seen cracks in Rhea Ripley, how she is beatable. However, Raquel was not the woman to beat her tonight, so yeah.
Yeah, throughout the whole night, it was kind of like a lot of like interferences with different people throughout the whole night in almost every match, whether it was the Zoe Stark in the Steel Cage match, or John Cena had like a few moments in the Miz and the LA Knight match. The Judgment Day match obviously had Dominic and Rhea come in. Rhea with a spear. Dominic, he's the one that took the big bump from Kevin Owens. And then this was no different. Dominic kind of helps Rhea win, I guess. He kind of didn't help her, but it ended up helping her. It's kind of weird. But yeah, Rhea gets the win. I think everyone kind of figured she would win either way. It's kind of felt like she needs to keep going a little longer. But yeah, as far as what you think about, Judgment Day winning and then her winning, now obviously all of them have belts. I think that's gonna kind of go into the next pay-per-view where like some sort of tension will start between Finn Balor and Damian Priest, and that'll lead to eventually the split. I assume so, at least. If they do split, maybe they, all just pulling a fast on us.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of where I think it's gonna go though.
Yeah, it seems like they had a lot of mentions like Liv Morgan. Obviously, Raquel and Liv Morgan were tag team champions not too long ago, so it kind of makes sense why. But there wasn't a lot of mentions of her. Rhea kind of like saying you're doing it for her, but you're not going to win. So what's the point of it? Which I think your Mania match for this women's belt would either be Rhea versus Becky or Rhea versus Liv. Obviously, Rhea and Liv have history, so I'm interested to see where that goes. But yeah, that was a very good match. But then after that, we had the Grayson Waller effect with special guest Cody Rhodes. Another very good segment. Grayson Waller continues to be one of the funniest guys on the roster in all of WWE and just all of wrestling right now. He comes out, Cody Rhodes kind of says he has a special announcement to make. It ends up being that Jey Uso will be on Raw now, which I'm very excited for because I think there's a lot of stories to be told, and I think it kind of, with the way that Cody was the one to introduce him on Raw, I was feeling that might be the next feud for both men, is just having them being there. I think now with that as well, Jey is a very high contender to be somebody who could win the Royal Rumble, but my prediction for that is Jey will obviously be in the Rumble, but then Jimmy's going to end up costing him, which is going to set their Mania match between each other, and I think that's going to be their Mania match for next year. But a very cool segment. Grayson Waller, like I said, continues to be funny. And afterwards, he said on Twitter, he posted like a picture where I'm getting beat up on my own show. I can't believe this. And he had a picture with a Pepsi can, obviously kind of similar to CM Punk. Whole bunch of drama there, obviously. We'll get to that in our all-out predictions later on. But yeah, very good match, or very good segment between the Grayson Waller effect. But yeah. Then after that, we had the main event for the night. We had Seth Rollins taking on Shinsuke Nakamura for the World Heavyweight Championship. And what did you think of this match?
Honestly, it wasn't my favorite. I thought it was going to be a lot better than it was.
Yeah.
Still really good, obviously. I mean, it's Seth Rollins and Shinsuke Nakamura. Like, it's not going to be bad, and it's just almost impossible for it to be bad with those two. But yeah, it just didn't, I don't know. It just didn't do what I wanted it to do, I guess. Yeah,
there's a lot of they just really focused on the story part of this match, which is just Shinsuke working on that back, and just keeps on beating him down and just keeps on trying to see how far Seth is able to go with that injured back. Then afterwards, after PayBack itself, the pay-per-view ended. Apparently, Shinsuke attacked him off air. So I'm assuming this is going to continue for at least the next pay-per-view at Fastlane. But yeah, I'm interested to see where it goes now that Seth seems to win this one. I don't think he will lose the next match against Shinsuke, but if there is a second match, obviously. But yeah, I think this is a very good, or not should say very good, but a very solid match. Yeah, I think there's not much else to add with this match. It's another good name for Seth Rollins to have on that resume of when you look back on this title reign, the names he's going to have beaten for the belt, or either when he's defending the belt, I should say. So yeah, I think it's another solid just name for his title reign as well.
Yeah, what I'm hoping they kind of do is they do the Jey Uso versus Cody Rhodes thing, and then that kind of leads into whoever comes out on top out of that feud, which I'm assuming would probably be Jey Uso, because that'll go into WrestleMania, obviously. But I'm assuming that he'll go for whoever's holding the World Heavyweight title at the time, whether it's Shinsuke or Seth. Probably Seth at this point, but probably Shinsuke or Seth, whoever has the belt at the time, will go against Jey Uso after the Cody Rhodes things happen. That's what I hope, at least.
Yeah. But yeah, this card, for the hype that it had, I think a lot of people kind of were down on it because it felt like a proper B-tier pay-per-view for once, but it still delivered. Every match, even the matches that we said weren't great, they were still very solid. The worst match on here is probably the Rey Mysterio versus Austin Theory match, but even that was still very solid. It's still worth watching. But yeah, that's one thing that WWE has done great all year, is just continue to have great pay-per-views throughout the entire year. But yeah, another great night for WWE, and having a great pay-per-view and continue their great streak of pay-per-views. But yeah, it seems like that will be it for WWE Payback predictions, results, and everything of that. Let us know what you guys saw in the pay-per-view and know what you think is happening in the next pay-per-view and what happened between these next few weeks. But yeah, thank you guys for watching and see you guys in the next video.